let's talk about the pros and cons, hiring direct versus home care agency. Hiring direct. So if you choose hiring direct, here's the pros. You get to choose to hire even friends, neighbors, or relatives. No restrictions for driving or other duties mutually agreed upon. Cost is typically lower. Flexible on time minimums. And you can include room and board as partial payments. The cons are time and cost for recruiting, interviewing, background checks, and reference checking. There's no backup in case the current person cannot make it. The liability for care is all on you. And handling payroll, tax obligation reporting is on you. Now, hiring through an agency, the pros are you'll get trained, licensed staff. They're always generally available. You have a backup system in case the regular worker can't be there or doesn't work out. They're able to easily replace worker if care recipient is unhappy with them. We assume full liability for all the care, and it's easier to help find on a short notice. The cons are cost is typically higher. Shifts are usually limited to 4-hour blocks. Very difficult to get caregivers to go out for less than 4 hours, let alone getting good, consistent help. It's less flexible in the tasks they're permitted to do in the home, where we have to be conscious of the worker comp issue and the liability and stuff, so we're limited what we can allow the caregivers to do. You may not be able to choose the individual, only the worker type, especially if time doesn't allow. Now, if you hire direct, we recommend you do an inventory. We also recommend you get a worker comp rider for the home. They usually run between $30, $40 per month, but just in case something were to happen, you certainly want to make sure that they're covered. You need to establish your worker relationship. That'll be between the two of you, whether it's an independent contractor or an employee. You need to conform to state and federal labor laws. Now, if you hire an agency, you need to understand the different types of agencies, how they operate, and their essential functions. Ask key vital questions that will help sort out the differences. Understand the difference between home health and home care. Home health agencies provide skilled care such as LVNs, LPNs, RNs, PT, OT, ST, basically all your therapies, and any sort of skilled care in the home such as wound care, PICC lines, ostomy bags, anything where there's intrusion into the body that you need a skilled person. Anything where skilled medical care is required, that's where home health agency becomes involved. Generally, it's covered by most health insurances. Now, home care agencies provide non-skilled personal home care aides such as companions, HHAs, CNAs, primarily dealing with activities of daily living, trying to make it so they're safe and cared for in the home. It's not covered under most health insurances, only long-term care. Now, I'd like to talk about some of the misconceptions about home care agencies, some assumptions and presumptions. Home care aides, companions, CNAs, know medical terminology and medication. That is not true. They're not trained on medication terminology or medications. They may have some slight knowledge because they've been doing home care and worked with many care recipients, but do not expect them to know and understand medical terminology or medication. Agencies will translate your plan of care from the hospital into their care without losing vital data. Currently, it's very fragmented and disjointed from when you leave the facility to going home. It's been such a major problem that it's actually created, you'll hear the word readmission and readmission penalties, that they're now penalizing the facilities because of this fragmentation. But the bottom line is there's no clear transition from the facility to the home. That's why we've now come together and talk about and are now providing what we call transitional care services to bridge that gap, because it's critical to have a smooth transition from the facility to the home to help speed their recovery and not lose a lot of what they gained when they're in the facility. And I speak more about it on a video called Transitional Care Services that you may want to also take a look at. But do not anticipate that there's a good translation or good process from a facility to home. Also, there's a pre-existing standard of guidelines that takes you through to the outside caregiver. There's none that exists either. So, what are the agency's essential functions? What do agencies actually do? We recruit, we screen, we do interviewing, we do an orientation, we do a data entry, we do all the credentialing, documentation, and management. We do all the scheduling and coverage. We identify the client and their issues. We do a full assessment. We do what we call matchmaking, because getting a good personality manager is key for long-term care and for compatibility. Planning, monitoring, we do reevaluating, and then we do care level adjustments. That's our essential functions that we do, regardless of anything else on top of that. So, home care service options. Let's understand some of the options that home care companies give you. Most home care companies provide what you call the employer of record. They're their employees, they're covered under their worker comp insurance, their general professional liability. They take care of all responsibility of the care as the employee of record agency. We also have some agencies that do what are called just fee for service, where you end up hiring them direct and they just charge a fee over that, and that's where the liability shifts and you're responsible. And we also recommend that you get a worker comp rider and that you make sure you have your bases covered, doing that under a fee for service. And there are some agencies such as mine where we actually offer both services. And in some rare cases, when the care recipient is just slowly debilitating, the caregiver seems to be good, they're going to go long term, you might, for cost effectiveness, just do what's called a permanent placement, where you just kind of buy them outright like a headhunter, and it'll save money that way. But that only works in certain circumstances. And finally, there's also what you call registries, or where you go, you get online, or you go and you just go through a database of caregivers and you pick and choose yourself and you just pay a fee for that. So those are kind of the service options you have in home care, especially through an agency or a registry. So when interviewing agencies, make sure that the agency, one, provides a copy of their license, general and professional insurance, worker compensation policy, and bond. That they screen and qualify the caregiver. That they require the caregivers to have a current CPR, first aid, and a TB test. Requires a background check. And that they are all on call to handle emergencies. I mean, what happens in the middle of the night, your caregiver doesn't show up? You certainly want to know that you can call the agency and get someone over there. And then last, provide care notes for insurance purposes or being able to monitor and see how they're progressing. So, in conclusion, get the funding sources in order. You saw how important it is to plan early. You see how much it's going to cost. Get a comprehensive assessment. Everything rolls from there. Know what you're working with and plan accordingly. Prepare the home. You see the importance of preparing the home is. Understand expectations and trying to make that match and make sure you understand how it all works and what to expect. Choose the services and then get the help you need. I hope this has been very helpful to get a better understanding of home care, how to prepare for home care, and how to get home care. Thank you for your time.